Hey, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Kelly Harper with Tuscan Ridge Animal Hospital, and I'd like to take a few minutes to talk with you today about emergency care for your dog. There's a long list of what constitutes an emergency in your dog, and so this list is by no means exhaustive, but when I think about the cases that are most emergent to me, several things come to mind. Hit by car, gunshot wounds, seizures, any seizure lasting greater than 2 minutes in length, excessive bleeding from anywhere, a wound or vomiting or in the stool, any breathing difficulty, or we'll just call it respiratory difficulties, right? Whether that's excessive coughing and or just struggling to breathe, shallow breathing, that sort of thing. Sudden collapse. Sudden collapse is a big one. And certainly under the umbrella of sudden collapse where your dog loses consciousnly, as well as sudden collapse where your dog remains conscious but just cannot get up and move. And I would wrap up that list with an ingestion of a toxin. Think of chocolate, grapes, onions. Then also I think about toxins including plants that dogs could eat. And then lastly, insect or animal bite wound. So venomous snakes, copperheads, especially see a high incidence of those in the summer. Also, various insects, seeing spider bite wounds, brown recluse, black widow, that sort of thing. Also venomous spiders. So we have lots of venomous creatures here in the South, so be on the lookout for sure. The first thing, of course, to do is to be able to recognize from the list I've given you that those would constitute emergencies. And then the most important thing I think that you can do, aside from calling your veterinary hospital or your veterinarian and getting some professional guidance, is to make sure that that animal is in a safe place. So for instance, if I have a patient who's seizuring, I never want owners to get near that animal, certainly around their mouth when they're seizuring, because they could be bitten. But I do think it's important that if possible, and that pet is seizuring near a point in the house that could cause it harm, for instance, the top of the stairs where it could continue to seize and fall down the stairs. If possible, move that animal away from the dangerous source. So, and of course, you know, if we're talking about a bite wound, you want to get your animal away from the offending cause for that emergency. But aside from that, I think probably the most important thing that an owner can do is just pick up the phone and give us a call. If it's in the middle of the night, there are emergency hospitals that are open and available for 24-hour care, and that's probably the most important thing an owner can do, because unfortunately many of the emergencies that we see in our veterinary patients will require involved and or extensive care beyond what a homeowner is going to be able to provide at home. So please call a veterinarian to get some professional guidance as to how we can best handle managing that emergency situation in your home. So I think that the answer to that question is a little bit dependent upon what the type of emergency is. Oftentimes, we're going to need some diagnostics. We're going to probably need x-rays, we're going to need blood work. But I think one of the most important things we can also do for our patients when they come into the hospital is get a catheter placed in their arm and get them started on fluids, because in many of these cases, these animals need critical supportive care, either because they are in shock as a result of their emergency, or also just because they need supportive care to be able to help them get through whatever the crisis is. So I think probably the biggest takeaway for emergencies, in an emergency situation with your dog, is that every minute counts. And so it's really important that you get in touch with your veterinarian as soon as possible, so that care team can provide you a guidance and provide supportive care for your animal. Again, I'm Dr. Kelly Harper, owner of Tuscan Ridge Animal Hospital. If you are experiencing or your pet is experiencing any emergency, please give us a call. We're always here to help.